pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Heavenly Father, we give thanks to you for another beautiful day with our loved ones. As we conduct our day, we are forever in your hearts and thoughts. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Hello, everyone. Okay, one quick big thing to get us going here. Miracle Tree. It's that time of year again. Sorting and packing will be December 16th from 4 until we're done. We will be here at the firehouse this year. Pickup day is December 17th from 8:30 to 12. I will need volunteers to pick up the gifts from the banks and the Fenwick's and little coffee shop. I'll send out a sign-up sheet later this week, so if you could get with me if you're able to pick those up. We usually start picking gifts up around 4:30 on Friday. I will also need as many volunteers as I can get for both days. I would love to see your faces. Makes it go that much smoother the more I have. Anyone have any questions?
You're going to send.
Give me the dates again, please.
Okay. Sorting and packing is December 16th.
Okay.
And the pickup day is the 17th.
You're going to email that out.
Yeah, the sign-up sheet, I'll email one out later this week. So, and that is all I have for announcements. Today we have Larry Sommers from Food Finders with us. Larry?
I brought a flash drive, but I don't know, is it one for this?
You got a flash
Not
drive?
a screen.
I didn't hook it up.
I didn't look at it. I'm sorry.
Didn't seem to be, but it's all right.
But in that calendar that was sent out, is it on it? I think it was on it.
That's out a few of these. These are our annual reports. Much of the same information.
I will give you First Merchants.
That's the one by
It's right across
Presbyterian Church.
No, right across from where you work.
Oh, okay, yeah, I helped pick that one up last year
So
too.
there you go. There.
No problem. Just review later.
Appreciate you letting me come by today. I started here, I guess I'm one of what we call the part of what we call the Great Resignation, right? People that leave perfectly good jobs and to do something new. I've retired, I say that in quotes, about a year and a half ago. After 25 years at Purdue doing development for several different departments and marketing, and came to Food Finders. Left at 5 o'clock on one day and 8 o'clock the next day. I started at Food Finders. I had been in nonprofits before I came to Purdue, and had always hoped to get back. And so after a year of working from home, and it kind of occurred to me, well, both my boys are out of college now, and I'm in a place where I can have a little more freedom. And so I've been there for a year and a half now, and am thrilled to be there. Food Finders is currently in our 41st year, just now beginning our 41st year of being a food bank for this part of Indiana. We were founded on World Food Day of 1981, and our mission at its heart is to fight food insecurity. We do that by collaborating with a number of different organizations, about 100 different organizations, to provide for food for people that are in need, and then to educate and advocate for and address food insecurity across Indiana. We represent 16 different counties. We go as far north as we're based out of, our main offices are in Tippecanoe County in Lafayette, but we go as far north as Winnemac and Rochester, as far east as Kokomo and Peru and Tipton, south to Frankfort and Crawfordsville, and then all the way west to the state line. And in that service area, about 1 in 8 people are food insecure. That was something that was really kind of shocking to me when I came to Food Finders was to realize, I mean, of course we all know there are people that face hunger, but to realize how many people, 1 in 8 adults, 1 in 7 children in our 16 county service area. And again, it's been compelling, you know, we also operate a food pantry in Lafayette, and so we see a lot of people face to face, and a lot of the people that come in there are people that you would expect to see. You know, these are people that, because of some physical or mental disability, you know, are probably never going to be able to hold a job, and they just need a little extra help. That's about half of the people that we see there. The other half are people that are working jobs. They're just not working jobs that pay enough to put food on the table consistently, or they just make it by and they hit you know, an unexpected car repair, an unexpected medical expense, that kind of thing, that really brings people in. They're people that I promise you come across in your daily, you may not realize it, but maybe it's the person at Starbucks that hands you your coffee. Maybe it's the widow that you sit next to in church, whose husband's retirement didn't leave quite as much as they thought it would. Or somebody like my brother 40 years ago who was worked for a soil service company in Sweetser, Indiana, drove a nice truck, had a good life. I grew up in a farm family. My dad worked at Chrysler in Kokomo. But then my brother Ron had their first child, and he was born with a hole in his heart. And so suddenly everything became about, how are we going to take care of Brandon? How are we going to get him to Riley this week? What's the new medical bill that's coming in? How are we going to pay those? And so there was a period of time when he was on, you know, now we call it the SNAP program. Back then we called it food stamps. It never occurred to me that anybody in my family would ever need to use food stamps, and it wasn't for a long period of time, but it's just an example, an illustration of the kind of people that use our services. Generally speaking, to take advantage of the services that we offer, people need to be within 180, or need to be 185% of the national poverty rate or lower. So in real terms, that means if you're an individual, if you make about $25,000 a year or less, you qualify to use our services. A lot of grad students in Lafayette, you know, qualify for that. Certainly a lot of elderly people, retired people, or for a family of 4, if household income is about $50,000 or less. So it's less than you think. Food Finders is part of the Feeding America network. Feeding America, every county in the United States has some Feeding America food bank that services it, and we are it for these 5 counties. There are some dues that are paid as part of this, but what we get in return, both in funding, through grant opportunities, and just through networking and a ton of different resources that they make available to us, far outweighs what we send to Feeding America. And we're also, Feeding America is kind of the anointed national food bank for anything that comes from the USDA, gets sent to Feeding America, gets distributed to its network, and so we're able to take advantage of a lot of those benefits. Most of what we do through our agency partner program, and these are a series of food pantries and maybe churches, soup kitchens, you know, elder care homes, anybody who gives food directly to those in need. Those are the people that we serve, and we're generally kind of the back door in that operation, which is part of why I'm trying to go around the counties and make sure they understand what our role in that is. Many people may know of our school backpack program. These are for schools that have children that are in the free and reduced lunch program. If they qualify and if they want to participate, we will provide food to send them home, a backpack for, since COVID it's been just a plastic bag of food every Friday afternoon to kind of get them through the weekend. My wife worked for many years at Miller Elementary in Lafayette, which is, there's about, the student population there is about 90% free and reduced lunches. It's a more financially challenged part of town, and she said for a lot of her students when they first started this program probably 12, 14 years ago, she said that was their food for the weekend. So it's something that really does make a big difference. We also do mobile pantries. We do, during COVID, we did 2 a month to all of our counties. I know in Jasper County we frequently go to Wheatfield, and then the other one kind of frequently rotates around. And this is a truck that comes out with about anywhere from around 1,500 pounds of food that we bring out and we distribute it to, usually can serve about 150 to 175 families at a time. Again, it's pretty compelling. When I first started last year, I was going around just trying to get a sense of some of the programs, and I remember I was at a UAW union parking lot in Kokomo, and they were having one of our mobile pantries, and I happened to be there for another reason, but I was there about 15 minutes before the mobile pantry was planned to begin, and there were already 200 cars in line waiting for food. So again, it's a very real issue. In Lafayette, we did start, again during COVID, we did end up starting, it just so happened that a local grocery store that had been there had failed, and they left. We had a small food pantry that we did we moved into a new headquarters, new office building, a remodeled church in 2016, and on the bottom floor of that we had a small food pantry, just because we knew over the years a lot of the churches and other places that had food pantries in Lafayette, maybe they were started by a particular group of people that had a passion for it, and over time those people had turned over, so a lot of the hours were getting pulled back. There were places that, maybe they're only open on Tuesdays from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And then another place in town might be open on Wednesdays from 2 to 4 or something like that. So if you're a person in need, you kind of have this matrix of places, and then, do you have a vehicle to get yourself there and that kind of thing. So we thought, if we just have some place that's open some set hours, and so we were open, I think, 12 to 6. We wanted to be open a little bit after hours, 12 to 6 Tuesday through Friday, and then I think probably 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturdays. So 2 things happened when they did that. First of all, that we were kind of overwhelmed because everybody, those in need, appreciated. We had moved to a more central part of town, so we were more accessible to a lot of those in need. And so we were instantly overwhelmed with the number of people that were coming, and then a lot of the existing food pantries were pretty much like, oh, okay, so you've got it then, right? And so they started pulling back their hours even more. And then COVID hit, and everything went crazy. We had the National Guard coming in, helping us distribute food. But during that time, this grocery store had closed and moved out of town, and they had a for lease sign in their window. And so we went and asked some questions, found out what it would cost to lease that space, at least for a while. Wrote a grant to Feeding America. They gave us a grant to lease that space for 3 years. We're now in the beginning of the 3rd year of that. I guess in corporate America, when you're dealing in such volume, they left all the refrigeration, they left all the freezer space, they left the checkout lanes, they left all the shelving. So it was a real godsend, because we were able to move things around, move the shelving around so it could be socially distanced. People can come in, and now we've kind of become kind of a high watermark for the entire network. People are, particularly smaller food banks, are sending people to look at what we've done there. It's basically like a grocery store experience. People that qualify to come in can come and they can shop. We have some carts. They can do it with dignity. They're not fight. We had fights in the other space because it was small. A lot of these people know each other. They have histories and so forth. So a lot of my first year in this role was finding funding to purchase that place, and we through some the cities of Lafayette, West Lafayette, Tippecanoe County, and then through a couple very generous donors, have made it possible for us to purchase that space. So currently, earlier this year, we were serving about 10,000 people a month. Were coming through that space. So now some of those are duplicated, so some of those are coming back a time or two, but they don't actually come back as frequently as you might think they do. It tends to be right before payday, when people are getting low on funds, or sometimes if it's a bigger family, they may come back a second time in the month to get another quart of milk, or to get some eggs or something like that if they have a large family that they're feeding. We do have a senior home delivery program as well in Tippecanoe County and a couple other counties. Miami and Howard County currently have the highest food insecurity rates of all of our 16 counties, and so we're trying to do some things to help them. They actually have close to 21% child food insecurity rate in Kokomo and Peru areas, so we're trying to add some senior delivery there to help them. We also, in Lafayette and more and more so in our other counties as well, have an education program where a lot of people that use our services, they don't necessarily know what to do with a bag of dry beans. They don't know you need to cook them or soak them first, but before you use them, or they don't know what to do with chickpeas. They don't know how many different ways you can use it. So we have things that teach them how to eat nutritiously, teach them how to prepare food with the kind of things they're liable to find at a food bank. And sometimes we also have, in fact in Lafayette right now we have a class in early that we do in conjunction with Ivy Tech about very basic career skills, how to fill out a job application, how to dress when you're going somewhere. We try to do some of these things to the extent that we can. I mean, our mission is to feed hungry people, but to the extent that we can, we want to also do what we can to help lift people out of poverty. And when we first started talking about this career thing, I was kind of like, wait a minute, because while my job is always to raise money, part of my job is also to be an advocate for the people that are giving us money. And one of the things that we always watch out for is mission creep in not-for-profits, and I'm like, it's great that we offer these classes, but you can get, career classes at the public library or at the YWCA or the YMCA. If people are giving us money to feed people and they see that we're, and my CEO's response was, we have a lot of data that we do. Every piece of food that goes out, every user that comes, we have data on them. And we have a lot of grad students because Purdue is in our backyard, and so people come over and work with our data a lot. And one of the data points that we found was that any one of our clients who take any of our classes that have basic career skills, like we were talking about earlier, anyone who does that is 10 times more likely to stop needing our services. So that's pretty compelling, and I'm like, okay, well that's good. We just need to make sure we tell that story anytime we're, putting information out about this, certainly when we're asking for money for it. We also have something that sets us apart from a lot of other food banks our size is we have a staff of paid resource coordinators. We know that people that face hunger are liable to have other issues. They may have health care issues. They may need child care assistance. They may have rental assistance. They may need help with utilities. These resource coordinators are essentially, many of them are people that used to be social workers, but they know the whole gamut of what things are available. They know, what state offices, what local offices there are. We send them out to all of our, not all of them, but to most of our mobile pantries out to the counties as well to help people know, like, what else do you do? They sit down with them and they say, are you doing okay with everything else? Are there other things that you need? Medical help, that kind of thing. And it's pretty compelling to watch these people do what they do. Just a few specific numbers here in Jasper County. Last year with our mobile pantry program, we sent just over 114,000 pounds of food that was provided to over 2,000 households. Our backpacks, we provided 5,328 backpacks to 148 students in 5 different schools here. And in total, we supplied almost 329,000 pounds of food to Jasper County. Most of that went out, if it didn't go out through our backpack or our mobile pantry program, went out through one of four primary agency partners here. We work closely with Good Neighbor Food Pantry, the Good Samaritan Food Pantry, the Sorrowful Mother Parish, and the Bridge Food Pantry. I always tell a little bit about where we get our food. We get, and again, there are some charts that you probably have in front of you that have this information. A lot of our food comes from USDA. About These letters are too small. I don't have I'm used to having the big number behind me. I don't need my reading glasses. Yeah, it looks like about 38%. We get some food from there's kind of a whole barter system with other food banks and Feeding America that we get a lot of food from. Most of our fresh produce comes from retail pickup. So we get a lot of food from Target, Meijer, Kroger, Payless's, which Kroger is Payless in Tippecanoe County. When they get a new shipment of green peppers in and they need to get rid of the old things, we send trucks over and we pick it up and bring it back. When they have meat that they'll keep it up to the sell-by date and then they freeze it and we'll come over and pick it up. We keep it frozen. We have to pay for special expensive stickers that will stick to frozen things, and basically the stickers say, when you thaw this, you need to use it right away. It's not no thaw it and leave it out for another 2 days. I mean, it's still good to use, but when you thaw it, you need to use it right away. But a lot of our stuff comes in there. Baked goods, we get a lot of baked goods from retail. Another kind of interesting side story that I learned when I came, we sometimes would see on our shelves, or we would have bread, and we'd have this really great, crusty Italian bread or French bread. Nobody's taking that. It's all like all the other bread will go. The white bread goes, the Wonder Bread and everything else. But what seems to me like the best bread up there, nobody takes. And I asked some of our people about it, and they said, a lot of our clients don't have real good bread, and that crusty bread is hard to get into. So a lot of them would just avoid it completely. Another thing about the food sources where it comes from, our warehouse manager, Jack Warner, likes to tell this story that sometimes we do get food directly from the manufacturers, and he likes to tell the story about, I think it was 2009, when Michael Phelps, the Olympic swimmer, he had a little issue there for a little while about marijuana use, and so suddenly we get a phone call from General Mills that they're sending us a truckload of Wheaties with Michael Phelps' picture on the front. But apparently they didn't want to send out to the stores to represent, but it's okay to send it to a food bank. Our revenue sources, our budget generally is about $4.5 million a year as far as cash in and out. About 80% of that is donated. So that 80% is my job, and it comes from government grants, foundations, corporations, individuals, major gifts, small gifts. We and a lot of food banks do a lot of our money comes from small gifts from a lot of people, and that's kind of our bread and butter. And so when we're able to bring in major gifts, that makes that even that much nicer. Another chart where about 50% of all of our food goes out to our agency partners in the 16 counties that we serve. About a quarter of our food goes through our fresh market, which is our pantry there in Lafayette. And then about another 25% goes to our mobile pantries and to our backpack program. People always ask, so how can you help? Obviously, my job is always to ask for money, so we're always helping. People ask sometimes, should we donate food or should we donate money? And our answer to that is we're always more than happy and very grateful for any food that you want to donate. It's now is about, because the overhead cost of that on our side is really substantial. So the food that we get, the salvaged food that comes in, generally is like 0.001% of what we put out. Now, what we tell people is, you can go to the store and spend $1 for a can of beans, bring it into work where they're doing the food drive, put it in the tote. In time, once it gets filled, we'll send one of our employees over in a truck to pick up that tote, and we'll drive it back to our place. Volunteers will drive to our place, and they'll unload that and sort it, because it all has to be sorted. There's all these USDA rules about what can go, what can't go, how big can a dent be on the can. A lot of overhead involved in that. Or you can give us $1 and we'll buy 3 cans of beans. just because of the buying power that we have as being, you know, part of the Feeding America Network, and people that we know. Our CFO, Tawny, has been doing this for 29 years now, and it's kind of an amazing thing to see. I mean, you know, she'll get a phone call and know that if she acts today, we can get a half a semi-load of green beans from Alabama for, you know, 2 cents per can or something like that. And so suddenly we're making room in the warehouse for a bunch of green beans that are coming in. Having said that, like I said, you know, funds are always our first priority, but anytime you have food, especially if locally, if there are some of the local food pantries have a fund drive or something, because it's a much more direct line there. The overhead costs go down substantially. In that case, some of the most needed items that we're always looking for are 100% fruit juices, anything for baking, beans, boxed rice, potatoes, canned, anything that's shelf stable are things that we're always looking for. Volunteering. You know, again, we're happy to put you to work if you had an interest in helping distribute foods. We've had organizations. I spoke at a Rotary Club in Crawfordsville one time, and one of the members came up afterwards and was asking about the mobile pantries and asking what's involved in that, what's the cost of that. I think it's about $1,600 or $1,700 now. She owned a real estate firm, and she ended up. She and her husband decided to sponsor their own mobile pantry, and then she brought a lot of the fellow Rotarians out that day. It's usually about a 2-hour thing to help kind of distribute that food down there in Montgomery. But again, it's your local food pantries here. I mean, I promise, if you spend a couple hours volunteering and helping pass out food, you'll be struck by the faces that you see and the number of people that are there, and how much they don't all look, the way you would expect the people facing hunger to look. And then the last thing is just to advocate, and that, certainly if you have political ties or people, I mean, then advocating in that sense, certainly something that we treasure, but also just helping keep the fact that food insecurity is very real today in our communities, right around us. Help remember that yourself. Spread it around to your friends. Let other people know that. I figure if there's, like I always say, there's no better place to go to reach a lot of community-minded people than a Rotary Club, and so I'll stress to all of you to help us get that message out. And that's basically what I have. I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has anything, but I appreciate your time this afternoon. All right. Thank you.
All right, since he walked in late, he gets to be put on the spot. All right, Mr. Pruitt, give us a snippet of Mexico.
Oh my goodness, a snippet. I've said this a number of times on trips and what have you, they always change you. And I apologize for being late, I'll start there. I thought there was a Rotary meeting in Kentland at noon, but it's at 5:30, so I get to go there twice. So that's just kind of the assistant governor's life. Any of you that have done any kind of traveling around. Anyway, I appreciate the fact of being able to go. Mexico City was a melting pot of both affluency and poor within inches of each other, and it was just staggering. Where Rotary comes in, there was tears shed at children cancer treatment hospitals, where we are doing hundreds of thousands of dollars of work at kidney transplant places, at a number of other schools. Any of you that followed any of the pictures, I tried to at least get the highlights. I have a couple hundred more, probably in my phone, if not more. I think when I went, I felt pretty big about who and what we do from Rensselaer, Indiana, and then when I got there, as you see our Rotary wheel, I see that we are less than a speck on one of the cogs. because there is a lot done globally, a ton done globally. We were treated like royalty, being the American gringos there. Can I say that on Facebook Live? Maybe not. Too late. But shocking, right? Again, it was you see the impact that you make, and it's not just dollars. Rotarians globally, Chris can attest to this, are reverenced. And I don't know what other word, I can't think of a stronger word, that when the name Rotary is used globally, people do know that we take care of them. We sat for 7 hours one day. I think that's what I counted, without breaks. We did get water, but water without breaks is a problem. But we sat and listened to 9 or 10 different presentations just that day. And one of the things I joked about is that I went all the way to Rotary all the way to Rotary in Mexico City or in Mexico to find out what the McDonald's house did. I didn't really know that, but we had a presentation at a Rotary meeting, a Rotary gathering where there was a group of Rotarians. They were presenting to us from Mexico's Ronald McDonald House as to how they wanted us to support them. That was stunning in my mind. I mean, that just, again, it brought it all very large and it very small, all at the same time. At the same time, in that meeting, Riley's Hospital's name came up in that meeting. That's something dear to both Chris and I's heart and some of the rest of you that have given to those projects. So, I feel very small. I'm still trying to get my feet underneath me as to focus, Mike. You can't give everybody all the money. You don't have all the money to get, because there's just so much to do. And I want to applaud this little group that from Rensselaer, our name came up a few times as well for our Empowering Girls Project, for other things that we have done. And the group that we were in knows who Rensselaer Rotary is in Indiana, from all of our past district governors that have come out of this club as well, and for a number of reasons. But as I walked away from it, I realized we have, for being a club of 40 plus, a pretty big impact, dollars and cents. And trust me, there's more coming for me, because I'm getting emails. The networking is amazing, and just keep doing what we're doing. I know, we raise $26,000 a year with the Pork Burger trailer. Hey, we get a lot of mileage out of that. And it goes a lot of places, and both globally and right here at home. So that's probably I didn't have any notes, obviously, and certainly wasn't planning on doing it, but from my heart, I get teary still, because it just was changing. It changed me as a person. And I found out when I got home that that is the vision statement from Rotary itself, that I had never paid quite as much attention to. So that's your homework. Go home, Google the vision statement for Rotary, and tell me where you fit. Because the last piece of that, spoiler alert, the last piece talks about changing lives, even our own. And that's what happened to me. So that's about as nutshell as I could get without going on for hours.
All right, thank you. Dean, Fellowship?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's make this simple. Todd, you want to get the big?
Oh my gosh. I would be honored.
We're full swing into basketball season, so anybody that's an IU, Purdue, or Notre Dame fan, cough up $1. Because your teams are very good.
I can do that.
That should pretty much cover about everybody, doesn't it?
At least $1.
Thanks, Dino. People ask me if I'm an IU or Purdue fan, and I'm a Big Ten fan.
Yeah. Big Ten is how many now? That's it.
What's that?
Big Ten is how many now?
USC and UCLA next year, or is it a year after?
Yeah, it just keeps getting
Next
bigger.
year they're gonna join, so the Big Ten will have then
The big 25? I think that's what we should go to.
15?
15.
Big 15.
Yeah, 15 teams. Birthdays, anniversaries.
I have a birthday this month.
Yay.
I do
That's
too.
right. That's right. New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve, very last day of the month.
Any other happy dollars? Anybody got anything they need to brag on?
I'm happy to be here for the first time.
Me?
Yeah, I
I'm
was gonna
happy to
say-
see Todd. We should have him fill out the paperwork.
Visiting Rotarian, Todd Salmon.
Well, I saw the red car in the parking lot. I'm like, I think I know who's in it.
All right, thank you. Mr. Larry, can you draw me a ticket and read the last three, please?
Sure. Glasses here so I don't get this wrong. The last three are 461.
Oh, I missed it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
He got the Queen of Hearts.
Oh, nice.
What?
Yep.
What?
Got it.
That card's done. That stock's done. I don't know, we're probably at a couple $100 or more.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good job. Winner.
Yay.
It was Todd's presence that did things.
I am texting Faith as we speak and telling her her Christmas present just got better. Just kidding.
All right, anyone have anything else? All right, stand for the four-way pledge, four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
You know what? My son always said a blind nut sometimes finds a